I am Maarja Punak, and as you might see, I'm a police officer in Estonia, and I have been a police officer for 16 years. And today I'm actually talking about one part of my job, what I did previously for 6 years as a web constable. Web constable is a public police officer who works in Facebook, not for Facebook, but in Facebook. So we are publicly there. We have our own pictures, name, and we are there for people. So if Estonian citizens have questions about the laws, or they have issues with bullying, or they want to report something to the police, they can contact us and we can help them to do it easily, or we can explain them the law or something like that. There is a need for us to be in Facebook because a lot of things happen in Facebook, and a lot of things are in Facebook, basically people. So people who need help are in Facebook, and that's why also the police needs to be there. So it's not only the thing that you might get cyberbullied in Facebook, but people can also contact the police through Facebook when they have issues back at home. Maybe there is a domestic violence case, maybe a parent is beating his child and the child wants to ask for help, then they can use social media. They don't have to come to the department. The biggest concern is probably live streaming, harassment, also the big amount of information what is there for children, but what can be harmful. So it's good that internet has all those different kind of info pieces what the children can find, but they can be also harmful for them. During 1 year, I usually got 2,500, 2,600 letters from people, and most of them weren't actually from children, because when we started, we were meant for children because we wanted to help the children who are bullied in schools or in social media. But as soon as the adults found out that they can actually ask help from Facebook or through Facebook, then they started using that more, and actually we get really serious reports about rapes, about domestic violence cases where people are beaten really badly and stuff like that. I think the biggest issue with the literacy is fake news, because we have actually a lot of children who believe in fake news because they don't have the knowledge how to make sure that this new news is actually right or correct. And also they have issues with just social skills. So if you are bullied in social media, then they know how to report, they know how to block people, but they don't have the knowledge how to deal with those kind of things. And that's why we are there to guide them. Older people actually are more affected by the scams, because children usually they don't have money, so they can't be affected that much. But in Estonia we do have a big problem with romance scams and different investment scams. And lately the amounts of money what people have lost are like 10,000 euros. I think the most important thing is how to check web pages, how to make sure that the information what you see comes from the correct source. Also they need skills how to protect themselves from accounts what can be like stolen accounts or what can be fake accounts. And so I think right now people are still too trusting, and they actually like add friends who they don't know, the backgrounds and stuff like that. So they need to learn how to do that. And that's why we have actually special lessons for children. So as web constables, we go to schools every year. Like I think last year I was like in 70 different classrooms and gave lessons how to protect yourself and how to know all the safety keywords. Estonian police stole the idea from the Finnish police, so they have actually more web constables than we. So they have more than 20. We have only 3 web constables. But I know that there are also countries who have tried similar systems, but it doesn't work everywhere because the biggest biggest thing what you must have is the trust from the public. So if people trust the police, they are more willing to turn to you and use the social media to ask for help. But if they generally don't trust the police, then it's really hard to be a public police officer in social media, because it can end up in bullying, basically, because you will get like stupid letters or nasty letters, or in one case I know where in a country where they tried to start the web police system, they only got letters from people who were saying that the police is corrupted and they have done so many corrupted things. So it can also help the police, but it's not the main idea. So what we learned from our experience, one thing is that there is no way to say that only children can ask for help or only adults can ask for help. So social media is for everyone, so it means that we need to be there for everyone. The second thing was that we were really concerned that we must have female police officers and male police officers, because there might be topics where people want to choose to whom they send requests or reports, or from whom they want to ask for help. But actually we were thinking about, let's say, domestic violence. We were thinking about rape cases. Maybe females would prefer a female police officer, but actually it wasn't like that. The only topic was traffic, and that meant that the male police officer got almost half more questions than I did, because people do have stereotypes. So there are two aspects. So if you are not enough skilled in social media, then it can be harmful for you, because you might fall into different scams, or you might get into trouble. But it's also a threat for a country, because we all know the stories how you can influence, let's say, through the propaganda, like the elections and the political situation. I think the biggest problem is that we don't tackle enough the sexuality problem. We don't talk about porn, and we don't talk about sex in generally. So it means that I don't know, children can learn sex when they are in 6th grade, but at that time most of them have actually tried already something, or they have been in internet and they have seen porn videos, or they have already done pictures of themselves naked and sent them out to other people. So we should start to talk about these things much earlier. So whenever a child has a phone, they can access already whatever. And that's why the new parents and the educators must be ready to talk about those things like earlier. I think one bad practice is that schools or even parents, they try to like block internet or block social media totally, and that's actually harmful for the children. So we shouldn't do it rapidly, and we shouldn't block internet for youngsters. We actually have had like a suicide case where a parent took away internet from the child, and the child hanged himself. So the importance of the access to internet is really necessary for children. But the good practice is that you can actually practice the social skills. We have had social skills Olympics in Tartu for several years, where we play through different situations where children have to behave in a certain way. So I have been a cyberbully for years. So there are teams against me, and I am bullying them, and they will try through all the skills they know, how to like block me, how to say that what you do is wrong, and if you continue, I will do this or that. So if you play those kind of things through, then maybe when something happens, when the child is alone in her or his home, maybe he will remember something, and he can protect himself. All educators should keep in mind that the time has changed. So what we believe has changed. So maybe when we weren't so open about our sexuality or about our bodies, then right now it has changed completely. I have seen chats where girls talk about their sexual experience. They send each other pictures of their naked bodies, and they talk about it really openly. And maybe this is okay. It's maybe not okay to me, because I wouldn't talk like that to my friends, but maybe the younger generation is learning to live like that, and they are more open. And you must always keep in mind that they actually can teach you more than you can teach them. And the only thing what you can teach is actually social skills, because they know all the like cyber knowledge, how to protect, report, delete, whatever. They know it, but they don't have the social skills to deal with all the things what can happen in social media. I think the biggest challenge will be that there won't be any more like big platforms. So like right now it's easy for us to work in Facebook, but in the future there will be several small platforms that different people choose to use. So it's going to be a challenge, because people will be divided into groups. We can't be everywhere. So right now we know that people are in Facebook, so the police is also in Facebook. But when we know that they are in hundreds or thousands different places, then it's really hard for us to access them or to help them. One thing about web constables is also the fact that we are quite often in like media. So we are in TVs, we are in newspapers, we are in different like public events. So children and generally people, they all know us, and the more they know, the more they can actually give us more useful information. So I have been tagged in several really like important videos where we see like criminal stuff happening. So children will tag my name, or they will immediately like report the video to me, so we can actually get the information more quickly than we used to do